Hello everybody, welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything rolls around fantasy Premier League. My name is Suj.
And my name is James.
James, I heard you tried to angle for a cheeky little transfer yesterday on deadline day.
Oh yeah, who was that then?
You went all the way down to FPL Dummies.
What was I doing, selling the wife?
Nah, you went to FPL Dummies yesterday.
Oh yeah, guest appearance on the Dummies pod, yeah.
Yeah, I heard you failed the medical, mate.
Why's that?
Because Tom said, nah, James failed the medical, sent you straight back to me, and here we are.
Oh, it's true.
Yes, today is People's Poll Day. I hate this pod. Do you know why?
Why?
What's it about? Tell everybody, and then I'll tell you why I hate it.
Okay, so with 3 options in the People's Poll this week, everybody's bored with no games, etc., and the transfer window shuts. I thought we'd open up a bit of an FPL conversation. There were 3 topics to choose from in the vote. One we picked up quite early was not going to win the vote, so we covered it in quite a bit of detail on yesterday's podcast, which was the idea of looking at captaincy over the next 6 game weeks. The other 2 options were the potential for upcoming double game weeks, which teams are most likely to and not likely to have double game weeks in the near future. And the other option, which won the vote, was what are our current chip strategy plans. Now, before we say anything else, a lot of people have said, surely they overlap, can't you do both? Yes, of course, children, of course. We're going to talk about both.
So shall I tell you why I hate
Because they
this?
overlap, naturally.
Shall I tell you why I don't like this pod?
Yes, go on.
Makes me hungry, man, when we talk about chips. Chips.
Do you want McDonald's for lunch?
No, but did you bring any lunch in?
No.
I'll treat you to a chicken wrap from the place up the road. With chips, obviously.
Done.
Chips day.
Signed.
They're decent. And a little cheeky little Mirinda. Strawberry, always.
I don't know what that means, but
it's
cheers.
the fizzy drink. Mirinda. You only get it in chicken shops. And it's strawberry flavour. Like a fizzy strawberry drink. You only get it in fried chicken shops generally.
Is that like when I was
Kebab
with
shops.
Tom Cantwell in this terrible fried chicken place
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Manchester a couple of months back, and I decided to have a Dr. Pepper rather than a Coke
Yeah.
because I was pissed. Is it that sort of thing?
Probably. Shout out to Chicken Connoisseur, but not really because he's an Arsenal fan. Let's keep it moving. Chip strategy. Obviously, at the moment as it stands, both of us have all chips in hand. Triple Captain, Bench Boost, 2 free hits, and Wildcard. Traditionally, always you Wildcard before a Bench Boost to set yourself up for 15 doublers.
Which never works out.
And yeah, never. And you free hit either defensively to cover off a blank game week when you don't have as many players playing, or you can free hit aggressively to attack a double if you don't have enough or the best doublers in your team. Triple Captain, you just wait for Mo Salah to have a double, basically.
Arguably, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, exactly that. And so I guess we're in a situation where we're blessed. So let's probably start with what you think will happen with the fixtures, very loosely. Where are the big doubles? Where are the little doubles? And we obviously don't know which fixtures will go where, but we do know that later is where there's likely to be bigger doubles.
We're saying what we got left, 15 game weeks?
Something like that.
And
15, 16,
if you're in the same position as me and
15.
Suj, 5 chips to play.
Yeah.
So in 33% of the weeks left, something's getting played, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's got
1 in 3.
Unless you decide not to use it for whatever reason. Okay, let's talk about prospects of what's going to be big, what can't be big, what might have some surprises. I think it's quite well documented that the likely biggest double game week left remaining is almost definitely going to be game week 36. We did have some suspicion that game week 25 was going to grow quite big. We've only Manchester United and Brighton going in now. I'm not saying that fixtures can't get added to game week 25, but it's certainly not going to be a big double now. The other possible week for big doubles, which is really complicated, is game week 33. The reason game week 33 is quite complicated is it's the FA Cup semi-finals that weekend, so you're likely to get a combination of doubles, singles, blanks. My patrons will notice from my spreadsheet planner that I do for them that I've looked at the possibility of trying to fit in as many fixtures as possible into the game week 36, game week 33 game weeks, based on the favourites progressing in cup competitions and just doing it in kind of fag packet maths over the space of 15, 20 minutes, I've got a potential schedule there where 18 teams double in game week 36. It's unlikely to be quite that big because, for example, favourites don't always win, particularly in competitions like the FA Cup. But it's also based on the big three progressing to, say, the Champions League semi-finals as well, which will tighten things up. But game week 36 could be monstrous. Now, the only thing with that is, if it is monstrous, do you even need a wild card to set up for it? Because that's exactly what you said, right? Wild card before the big double to then bench boost. You may not even need that wild card to set up for 36 because it might be that big.
You have taken my strategy away from me. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. My thing was because I'm looking to wild card now with the state of my squad. I have players not available in 24 as it stands. 2 Chelsea, 1 Brighton. So 3 there. Billy Gilmore flagged, and I've got a couple other problems as well. So I'm looking at still wildcarding in 24 to fix all of that. It's a long way away from any double for a bench boost. But I'm looking at either 33 or 36 being big enough that I don't need to. And if I know about it in advance, I've got my transfers in 34, 35, 36 to set up for that bench boost. So yeah, for me right now, 36 is where I'm looking at my bench boost.
I think that's the sensible idea for the majority of people. However, there are certainly certain points where it's going to land for certain people to be in the right position. I mean, how would you feel right now if you were sitting there looking at game week 25 and you've got, let's just say hypothetically, Sanchez and De Gea are your goalkeepers. You've got maybe Joel Veltman as a budget defender. You've got Diego Dallo as a budget defender. Do you then look at that and think, this is bench boost time, considering there are other teams with brilliant fixtures in game week 25, as we've highlighted? City, West Ham have got a great fixture, for example. So if it falls right for you at the right time, then do it. My principal idea really on bench boost is I've got to have both goalkeepers have got a double, ideally, unless one of the single keepers had incredible home fixture that looked absolutely nailed for a clean sheet. I would want both goalkeepers to double. I don't think it's essential to have 15 players who are going to double twice, purely because we know historically, and particularly later in the season when there's lots of teams who have less to play for, the chance of actually getting 30 matches out of your players, or effective 32 with captaincy, is unlikely. But yes, I am not in a position like you where I feel like I need to wildcard at the moment. I did draft a potential wildcard that I'd come up with if I was to use it at the moment, and I'd only make, I think it was 7 changes from what I've got. I don't think that's enough for me to feel like, you know, when I've got 12.3 million sitting in the bank and I've got power plays anyway, it's not right for me. You've got more problem issues that you want to fix, I think.
Yep.
So if you want to use it, fine. I would still, for those who are thinking of using it this week, I would still wait till Monday. Forget the price rises, because the information we can get from the FA Cup 4th round matches is absolutely critical in terms of understanding further about potential doubles, give us a clearer indication of blank game week 30 as well. And the deeper we get, the more we can look at what is probable rather than possible, is what I'd say. Because when I say game week 36, I've got it listed as 18 teams doubles. That's highly unlikely, right? But it is going to be big enough, I think, where you're probably looking at sort of 12, 14 teams.
That's huge.
Is really realistic at the moment to think, yeah, that's going to be absolutely massive.
33 is the other week that could be a big double that you mentioned, but that's very reliant on understanding what happens with the FA Cup. So, like you mentioned, if I'm wildcarding this week, it will be Sunday evening that I pull the trigger, knowing that...
I wouldn't even do it Sunday.
You'd wait till Monday?
Yeah, because I think there's a good chance we might get fixtures drop on Monday.
That's a fair shout, James. Yeah, fair shout.
So I think if we're going to get fixtures before the game week 24 deadline, we're looking at either Friday. And I think, to be honest, once it gets to Friday, you might as well wait till Monday and then get the information. Like, for example, I still think there's a small possibility that Chelsea and Arsenal could play each other in game week 25. And I mean very small possibility. And I think that might be waiting on... Chelsea got Plymouth in the FA Cup. 95% are going to go through, obviously. But I think they might be waiting on confirmation of that, because if, say, Chelsea went out, then there's no rush to rearrange that fixture, because Chelsea will have more available dates if obviously they're out of the FA Cup. Chelsea and Arsenal would then slot automatically into game week 27, for example. So I think we could get an announcement Monday. You think if they're going to announce Chelsea-Arsenal for game week 25... can't leave it much later than Monday, can they?
No,
that would only be
right.
sort of 8-9 days before the fixture, and Chelsea disappear for the Club World Cup on Wednesday. They've got to know what they're doing when they... Well, I guess they'll be flying Monday or Tuesday. They've got to know what they're doing, but I would imagine in that scenario, Chelsea are probably aware if that's a possibility. Again, it would only be a single fixture for Chelsea and Arsenal anyway, because that was the original scheduled fixture for 25.
Yeah. In terms of game week 30, that's the one that the quarterfinals of the FA Cup.
Yep.
And so obviously there'll be 8 teams in those, and you'd expect maybe 6 or 7 from the Premier League. At least 6 would get through to the quarterfinals. So worst case scenario, you could have 12 teams blanking.
Worst case scenario is you ending up with like 2 games. Yeah. Is the worst case scenario.
So do we know any fixtures that are definitely on?
Yes, 1. That's Aston Villa versus Arsenal, because both teams are obviously out of the competition already. And again, once we get past this weekend, there might be other things that show up. I looked at game week 30 based on the probability of the 8 favourites in the competition that are still left in making the quarterfinals. Again, that's extremely unlikely. But if that was the scenario, that would leave us with 4 fixtures for game week 30, which would be, we already know, Aston Villa versus Arsenal, Burnley versus Southampton, Newcastle versus Crystal Palace, and Watford versus Everton. There's a fair chance people be going in with sort of 4 or 5 players, and then I think it really becomes free hit territory. However, there's a different way to do it potentially. And again, it's dependent on what fixtures fall in. Let's say, for example, Liverpool and Manchester United are due to play each other in game week 30. Well, suddenly if that fixture happens, it's not a great fixture for either, obviously. But then you might have people sitting there going, well, I've already got 4 or 5 players for that fixture. Do I need to be free hitting in game week 30? And then the problem you'll have on the other side is a lot of the teams who I think are likely to play in game week 30 have bad game week 31 fixtures. Do you remember last year it fell where a lot of the teams played in game week 30 had good game week 31 fixtures, and it was like, I think a lot of us wildcarding in 32, it was like, look, just put it off because we'd already used the bench boost early in sort of game week 19. It was like, well, actually, no, I think it was Villa, maybe Leeds, someone else. They had good 31 fixtures. Let's put it off for another week or so. That doesn't look like the case this time. So if you're going to go into game week 30 and not use one of the free hit chips, there's a fair chance you're looking at a game week 31 wildcard. So that's another possible time to use it. So at the moment, my thinking is obviously wildcard either 34, 35 to probably set for that bench boost 36. But I may not need to. And who knows? At the moment, the draw means that I think of the favourites this weekend, the only big club that's probably really at risk of going out is Tottenham, who have got Brighton. But then Tottenham are due to play West Ham in game week 30. You've obviously got a great tie at Kidderminster. So the other thing, of course, is once the 4th round fixtures have gone, we can actually physically see the draw for the 5th round.
That's true.
We might have Liverpool, Manchester United might draw each other, and then you could factually say, right, there's no way that they can play in game week 30, for example.
Yeah.
It could even mean that the game gets brought forward if the FA can look and understand those sort of things, although I don't think Liverpool United play on the same Champions League night, I want to say, so it would get pushed back to probably 33 or 36. So there's different ways to play it. So to define now and say, right, yeah, I'm going to wildcard 35, I'm going to bench boost 36, I'm going to free hit 30, I'm going to triple captain X, Y, Z. It's almost impossible to define it, but with each passing week, the clarity should be building in your mind. And I think by next week, once we've got that 5th round cup draw, possibly some more fixtures, then we can start defining a little more what we can do. As I said, wildcard 31 is one that a lot of people are talking about to get out the 30 problem. If the teams that play in 30, you've already got good players
enough coverage from.
I mean, if Villa, I think, will possibly double in game week 27. As it stands right now, Villa Burnley could go into game week 27, no problems. That's because that midweek is the FA Cup 5th round, Villa and Burnley are out of the competition. It's the only fixture currently that can go, yep, definitely goes in there if they want it to. But let's say Leicester lose to Forest in the Cup on Sunday. Arsenal have lost there. Leicester have got injury problems. Forest are doing quite well, although they had a dodgy defeat at Cardiff at the weekend. If Leicester go out, then obviously Burnley v Leicester could go into 27. Now that would just be a single fixture for Leicester because their 27 fixture against Chelsea is postponed. But it doesn't mean a double for Burnley. Probably then means no double for Villa ahead of game week 30. But if they do double in 27 and people want to stock up and have 3 of their players, and then you're looking at going, well, they've got another home fixture in game week 30 as well, that's the sort of circumstance where I think people look at Wildcard 31. Of course, a lot of people also thinking about free hitting in game week 27 because of the blanks for Chelsea, Leicester, Arsenal and Liverpool due to the Carabao Cup final. So you've got people say treble Liverpool, probably no Chelsea at the moment, possibly Leicester they want to get rid of some, but don't necessarily need to. People have a little bit of Arsenal as well. So free hit 27, free hit 30 are the 2 free hit possibilities that are going to cover you the problems. At the moment, I'm leaning towards not free hitting in 27. I have, for example, 3 Liverpool. Well, I say 3. I've got 2, but it will be 3 very soon. And I've got 1 Arsenal player. And my thought process at the moment is probably to sell one of those Liverpool players in 28. They've got difficult fixtures 28, 29. I think it's West Ham and Brighton, I want to say. So
West Ham at home, Brighton away. But that might be a double 29.
That's true. So it could be coming off and coming back on. So free hit 27 will cover you the problem of kind of Liverpool not playing. And free hit 30, obviously, is a lot of teams not going to play. So if you want to use those chips as defensive, which people use it as defensive, but I also think it can be quite aggressive because your projected gain, if you've only got 3-4 players and you're going to free hit in 11, your projected gain is a lot bigger than what you've got, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But it is a shield. When you free hit in a game week like game week 30, a lot of people are going to be quite template, have very similar teams, aren't they? You mentioned about 29 as a double possibility. So I want to cover some of the potential doubles that could be coming up prior to game week 30. Afterwards, it's incredibly unpredictable at the moment.
And this you're looking at in terms of potentially, would you use triple captain?
Well, it's part of that, yeah. So, game week 26, Liverpool can have a fixture. And a lot of people have mentioned this idea of Norwich at home, Leeds at home. Right, let's be honest. If that's the way it drops, even if there's concerns that Mo Salah won't play twice, it's triple captaincy, isn't it? And there's not going to be, from a fixture perspective, it's not going to look better than Norwich at home and Leeds at home. I have an inkling that Liverpool are more likely to play Arsenal, which would be at the Emirates. How would that make you feel? Triple captaincy, Mo Salah, Norwich at home, Arsenal away.
I'd prefer it to Brighton away, Leeds at home.
So, 29, Liverpool can also double. And the reason for potentially throwing Liverpool fixtures into these midweeks is, of course, if they continue to progress in the FA Cup and the Champions League, you are potentially running out of dates. In the case of Arsenal, they've obviously got 4 games to rearrange. And it's a little bit awkward for them in the sense that Chelsea have obviously got their involvement in the Club World Cup and the Champions League themselves. The Wolves game is owned by Amazon Prime, and we don't really know when they want to show their fixtures. It could be that Arsenal-Wolves goes into the Thursday of that game week 26 as well, is a possibility. And that's where I think Liverpool-Arsenal will probably go on the Thursday in 26. It is just as likely to be Leeds, by the way. I think if it was double game week 26, Norwich at home, Arsenal away, I think I still do it on Mo Salah.
Yeah, I agree. I prefer that. I mean, Norwich home versus Leeds at home. Norwich home's better fixture. Brighton away versus Arsenal away. They're just as tough as each other almost.
So the reason Suj has obviously mentioned game week 29 is the other possibility for Liverpool to have a fixture added because of Champions League involvement. So Liverpool are due to have Brighton away in 29. I think the Leeds fixture might end up going in there rather than game week 26 because the priority to get Arsenal games organised a little bit earlier in case. Arsenal don't have the problem of obviously being involved in other cup competitions, but the other teams have got to play against do potentially. Triple captaincy in terms of alternatives, I just want to throw a couple up. It's worth saying what Liverpool's other fixtures are that could end up in doubles. Game week 33, Liverpool play Aston Villa away. Game week 36, they play Tottenham at home. So clearly, if we break down the 4 single fixtures for Liverpool, Norwich at home in 26, Brighton away in 29, Villa away in 33, Tottenham at home in 36. The best fixture is Norwich as the first one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when we look, and we can't predict exactly what Liverpool are going to have as doubles in 33, 36, it's highly likely that Manchester United is going to form the second fixture of one of these later doubles if either side makes the FA Cup quarter-finals. But 26 does look like the best opportunity, I would say, for a Mo Salah captaincy. And that's the first thing people will want to know if it sits with Norwich and Arsenal. If that's how it works, is that the best opportunity? Well, I think it probably is, yeah. Because you might not even have the guarantee at that point in terms of Brighton and Leeds. The Leeds fixture, if Liverpool go out the Champions League, could in theory fit anywhere. But I would anticipate that they'll progress against Inter Milan personally. And then it becomes really awkward. Then you've only got 33 and 36 available. Other possibilities of a few doubles that might get people interested. Chelsea. If Chelsea are not going to play Arsenal in game week 25, I think it's highly likely that Chelsea are going to play in game week 28. That's their other available fixture date where they don't play on the Champions League midweek. Currently, Chelsea have games to rearrange against Arsenal and against Leicester, both at home. Now, Arsenal, that fixture could then go into game week 28 potentially. Yes, that's a possibility. The Leicester fixture, if Leicester progress in Europa Conference League, obviously can't. So if Leicester keep progressing in the Conference League up until game week 30, then Leicester can't have a double game week between now and game week 30. They're basically the only team that cannot factually have a double, although I think they could have a game week 27 fixture added, which I'll explain in a sec. Chelsea obviously have this run of fixtures of blank, blank, Crystal Palace away, blank. No one wants their assets. But in game week 30, they're due to play Norwich away. Now, if Chelsea can't have the fixture with with Leicester arranged into 28, and if Sky decide to get their murky hands on Chelsea and Arsenal and decide they don't want to put it and clash with Champions League football, there's every possibility that I think the Norwich fixture could get brought forward from game week 30 to game week 28. It would be very short notice to the extent that it would probably have to wait on the FA Cup 5th round matches to take place and be completed. We were talking about possibly at a week's notice. But because of Chelsea's involvement in the Club World Cup, it might quickly become a necessity that they have to make a decision and do it. If that's the case, following Chelsea's blanks, they would walk straight into a double of Burnley away and Norwich away. Fancy Antonio Rudiger triple captain, Romelu Lukaku.
No, for the simple reason that both Burnley and Norwich are fighting for their lives at this point. So I'd rather go with, for example, if I didn't have confidence in Salah for the Liverpool double, Norwich and Arsenal, or Norwich and Leeds, I'd go Trent in those two fixtures over Rudiger or anybody, Mason Mount in the other two fixtures for Chelsea. So my fallback at the moment, if I don't go Mo Salah in 26, is going Trent in 26.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm as it stands right now, I'm set on 26, ideally triple captain, assuming Liverpool have a double.
We don't know that's going to happen, it's worth saying.
Assuming Liverpool have a double, 26 is where I'm going with my triple captain. And if not, I'll be going wherever Liverpool have a double, Salah or Trent. I have 2 free hits. One I'll be using in 33, in theory. So bench boost will be 36 when there's a big double. I'll be using 1 in 33 of my free hits. The other one will either be 27 or 30. Preference would be 30. And if I see from the 5th round draw after the 4th round's finished this weekend that actually there's loads of fixtures in 30 and I don't need to use it in 30, then I may use it in 27 because of the Liverpool problem. Because I'm going to be tripled up on Liverpool.
But Liverpool are just about as least likely to play in 30 as anyone.
Yeah,
So
I get
isn't
that.
it then the same problem? And imagine if Liverpool do have that double in 29, you're gonna be heading into 30 with 3 Liverpool players, aren't you?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, the likelihood as it stands for me is 30. Free hit 30 is a defensive move. Free hit 33 is my aggressive move. Bench boost 36 is an aggressive move. And triple captain will be 26 and our wildcard now. So there's a massive gap between my wildcard and my bench boost, but I'll maneuver towards it. And if need be, when we get there, I'll take some hits.
Yeah, I like the free hit 33 idea. One of the things with 33 as well is you're not going to know what the schedule is specifically for 33 until after game week 30 at the earliest, because A, you need to know which teams are going to be in the FA Cup semi-finals.
Yeah.
And B, there's no guarantee what order they reschedule games in, particularly with the sheer volume of what we've got to rearrange. So you could look at it. Liverpool, Man United, let's assume that would get postponed in game week 30. There is no way of knowing if it would go into 33 or 36. It's going to be up to the TV, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, for example, Tottenham and Arsenal will end up being played right towards the end of the season because of that race for the top 4. I think Sky will be thinking, yeah, do you know what? Now we've got that. Let's hold that right back towards the end of the season. They may think the same with Liverpool, Manchester United, but then they might think, well, I want Tottenham and Arsenal to headline one midweek set of fixtures. I want Liverpool, Manchester United to headline another set of midweek fixtures.
Yeah.
There's no way of knowing which way round exactly that they would actually want to do that, particularly if they're going to show multiple games. I mean, if they're going to show Liverpool, Manchester United, do they want to show Everton versus Leicester at the same time? Probably not. They'd rather have it stand alone and get as many viewing figures for that one game as possible. So I like the free hit 33 idea in terms of planning for it will be quite difficult in terms of knowing specific doubles. So for those who don't have cup involvement, it's going to be difficult to say whether they're going to double or not, really. So I like that. I like 33 as the aggressive move, and that's my fault as well at the moment. So if I don't free hit in 27, I think 30 and 33 is a likely way to do it.
Still with a bench boost in 36?
Yeah.
So when will you wildcard in that situation?
Well, it could be that it drops the other way, right? And you go, actually, 33 is going to be ideal for this. I want more budget players from these who double in 33 rather than 36. And then you could obviously wildcard 31, 32, bench boost 33. Free hit 36.
Yeah,
there's different ways to obviously play that, and it be, again, because of the sheer volume of games we've got to rearrange, it's really unpredictable. Other than we can state the obvious and say teams like Arsenal are highly likely to have doubles in 33, 36 because they're out of the cup competitions. They've got 4 games to rearrange. Seems fairly sensible. If you look at Arsenal's fixtures in those game weeks as well, it's Southampton in 33. 36 have got Leeds, so a good potential double for Arsenal in 36, although I suspect it will be Leeds and Tottenham. 33 Southampton away could form part of a good double for Arsenal. It's worth saying and adding on as well, the other kind of wild card week here is game week 37. So game week 37 is also blank. On the Wednesday of that midweek is the Europa League final, which West Ham United will be competing in and losing to Seville in, probably on penalties, as you know, Suj, because if Seville are in the Europa League, they've already won it. Yeah, although they are going for La Liga, so they might drop their interest in that a little bit this year. But technically, games can go into 37. Now, I think it's fair to say UEFA are not going to want games to clash on that Wednesday with the Europa League final, whomever is in it. But games obviously can go on the Tuesday and the Thursday, and there will be postponements in game week 37 as well. It could be as little as one fixture because the FA Cup final is to be played on the weekend of game week 37. What we had last year, if you remember, Suj, was Chelsea-Leicester was the final.
Yeah.
They played each other in the final. They played each other on the Tuesday in the Premier League straight afterwards. So it could just be a normal game week. But I particularly look at Leicester's schedule and I know that their backlog could mean that they could have a double there in 37 as well. I actually think if Leicester get as far as the Europa Conference semi-finals, I think that will lock them into a treble game week at some point this season. And that would highly likely be 36 or 37 because they're just going to keep putting the problem off, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly that.
With that in mind, I do think, just to kind of highlight a few other teams that might have some upcoming doubles soon, I do think Leicester could have a fixture in game week 27. Should they lose to Nottingham Forest on Sunday, I'd say it's a near certainty. And the obvious one would then be, rather than Villa play Burnley, Burnley play Leicester. Again, it would only be a single game week fixture for Leicester. But it's actually a way to manipulate the fixtures now, even if Leicester beat Nottingham Forest, that they would have a fixture added in game week 27. That's because Southampton play Norwich on the Friday night, and Leicester don't have a weekend fixture in game week 27. Why can't they play each other on the Monday, and then the two teams playing the FA Cup on the Thursday? At least you've still got 3-day gaps then. That's going to be better than what the situation is eventually going to land in for Leicester. Unfortunately, I know the Premier League are probably not going to use their brains with this, but if Leicester and Norwich both go out of the FA Cup in the 4th round, Norwich are away to Wolves, then I think that could go into 27.
Right.
It does open the prospect of back-to-back doubles for Norwich, because we've spoken about the idea of them possibly playing Chelsea in game week 28.
Yep.
We're obviously not saying steam into Norwich, but I keep mentioning Adam Eder, for example. If you're sitting there with Brandon Williams at the moment, who knows? You might suddenly walk into back-to-back doubles. And Norwich's two other fixtures are quite interesting. It's Southampton in 27, Brentford in 28. So it wouldn't be disastrous doubles for them if you did have those cheap budget assets.
Well, we'll learn a lot about Norwich because they got City and Liverpool before that. So, you know.
Burnley, we know, have obviously got a lot of fixtures to get rearranged. I would be really, really surprised if they do not have a double in game week 27. Their first fixture of that week is Crystal Palace away. They are actually in the middle of, or about to start quite a tough run of fixtures, it's worth saying. I think at the moment, them playing Villa away, on paper, that looks quite likely. But I do think, obviously, as I said, it could become Leicester instead. It could even become Tottenham if Tottenham lose to Brighton in the FA Cup, and that would be. I'd rather it gets a bit warmer before I have to go up there again. So I've actually got Burnley Tottenham penciled in currently for game week 29, and I've got Brighton Tottenham penciled in for game week 26. And the Tottenham don't have a brilliant run of fixtures either. We've heard a few rumours about Brighton Tottenham game week 26. Nothing that's concrete, but there's a few rumours going around about it. That, of course, would mean back-to-back doubles for Brighton. And it would if Tottenham had the Burnley fixture added before game week 30, which I think is a possibility because of the volume of games that Burnley have to rearrange. And because of Tottenham's potential progression in the FA Cup as one of the favourites, it might mean that forces the Burnley-Tottenham games to be played before game week 30 as well. Other teams who could double before then, Leeds we've mentioned, prospects of either obviously game week 26, which would potentially be for them Manchester United at home and then Liverpool away, wouldn't be great. Game week 29, I've got them penciled in for Liverpool away after Norwich at home. So that could potentially be an interesting one. In theory, the only team that really can't definitely double over the next 6 game weeks or so is Leicester.
Okay.
And obviously the teams who have no games to rearrange.
Yeah, I was going to say, like Man City,
West Ham, Brentford, and Manchester United obviously have the double game week 25, but they don't have extras. But that said, Suj, there isn't anything to say if you take City in game week 30.
Yeah.
Due to play, I think they've got Brighton, I want to say, game week 30.
At home, yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing to say, if that game is postponed, there's nothing to say that it can't get brought forward into game week 29 and just played 3 or 4 days earlier. So even in the case of City, they could still have a double. It wouldn't be till 28, 29. West Ham, Brentford is more unlikely, but similar thing. Tottenham, West Ham, game week 30. Could they bring it into the midweek of 29? Yes, I think. And also Tottenham, West Ham, close proximity to the clubs. You haven't got to worry about the fans and the long distance travelling and stuff. Yeah. It is far easier to rearrange these kind of London derbies, if you will, Watford, Palace, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, West Ham, at short notice because of the travel. We know some people obviously do have to travel long distance, but 95% of the crowd are going to be within the right city at a week's notice or so. So I'm really open-minded about what I'm doing. I think my kind of loose plan at the moment would be wildcard 35, bench boost 36, definite free hit 30, and then it's either 27 or 33, depending on the information.
For the other one.
Triple captaincy, Mo Salah, first opportunity, I think.
Agreed.
In terms of double. Just another point on 30 as well. For those who have used the wildcard, I think, or are thinking of using it prior to game week 30, I think that's going to force you into a free hit in game week 30.
Yeah.
I think, because of the fixtures that those teams have afterwards. You would hate to wildcard, then be building to 30, and then have these teams with shite fixtures from players you don't even want afterwards as well. I think will force you to 30, unless a number of the big clubs drop out in the 5th round, which is a possibility because it's 5th round's played over midweek. You're in a weird way, you're liable to get the big clubs make as much rotation in that round as the first 2 rounds have been weekend fixtures. It's very unpredictable, more so than ever because of the sheer volume of rearranged games. Would you consider, just on triple captaincy, would you consider holding off on the prospect of a triple game week for Leicester if they kept going in Europe?
No.
I think best case scenario for Leicester, and I just want to highlight the best case scenario for them. Game week 37, they've got Watford away. They would also have games to rearrange. Burnley away, Everton away. And should they progress to the FA Cup quarterfinals, if we ignore the Chelsea game for the moment, they would also have a game to rearrange against Brentford at home. Now, as a cluster, those 4 fixtures, Brentford, Watford, Burnley, Everton, any treble makeup of that has got to be interesting, hasn't it? If it did happen.
I'd have to see more from Leicester. But no, I'd rather take Mo Salah or Trent in a double against Norwich.
Imagine if you got to that as well and they were in the conference final. Yeah.
Nah.
No, I think you would still go with Mo. And look, if a triple captaincy for Leicester or a triple game week happened down the line, then
just buy one or 2.
Just get a few. Obviously, you'd get a few, wouldn't you? Of course. Leicester are going to be really, really interesting, I think, in the final sort of 8 game weeks of the season. Really interesting.
I think you've just described it as a little bit unpredictable in terms of where the fixtures go, but you've made it more predictable for me in terms of the chip strategy because it's fairly simple. Now it's just the case of I know roughly which game weeks. I just need to decide which ones in which game weeks, and I'm hoping, listeners, for you it's exactly the same. You've got a little bit more clarity on when you might be able to use your chips as well.
Just to add one more sort of triple captaincy, because I did mention a few Tottenham doubles, and I didn't say what the probable fixtures might be. It never particularly looks great for Harry Kane or Heung-min Son. I mean, if that Brighton fixture does land in 26, the other fixtures Manchester City away. If they double in 29, it's Manchester United away. Could double in 28, which is Everton at home, so perhaps Everton at home, Burnley away would maybe be interesting. But even that, say Kane or Son, Everton at home, Burnley away, is that better than Salah? Like any double?
Nah.
No, I'm in agreement with that. Tottenham's fixtures in game week 33 are Brighton at home, and in 36, Liverpool away, which are the other 2 most likely, obviously, possibility for Tottenham doubles. Similar stories for Manchester United. I don't think it ever overly appeals. Southampton, Brighton, the next one, 25, might be around about the best. In game week 33, they're due to play, I think it's Norwich at home.
I don't even know why you're bothering.
But yeah, it's Salah, isn't it? I'm just trying to highlight the possibilities for people.
For what? Like, people ain't going to do it. If they are, good luck, God bless. But you're going against effective ownership when Salah's going to be in 300%.
I like you. I still think if I was going to go, I'd rather go with Trent.
Yeah, I think so. Any day of the week. Yeah. So, of course, jump on Twitter at Planet FPL Pod when the podcast is posted if you've got alternative chip strategies or you completely disagree with what James has mentioned there. And if you are interested in using James's fixture planning spreadsheet, it's available to patrons on patreon.com/Planet FPL, where you also get additional content and access to our Slack channel as well. We're back at you tomorrow, Sky Fantasy Football, where we'll be fixture planning well. And, of course, it'll be really interesting to see.
I'm going to tell a lot of Sky listeners to listen to this podcast.
First, yeah, exactly that. And it'll be useful for both. Today, for patrons, transfer roundup in a little while, which will be fun because it wasn't as eventful as anyone ever thinks.
It's January. Yeah, I don't know what people expect.
I don't know why people get so irate.
You only have to look
about it.
At the business of, let's say, the Super League 6. All right? Tottenham have bought a couple of players in, but they've let a number of players go. United have done nothing. Chelsea have done nothing. Liverpool bought Diaz, which they were going to do in the summer, but got forced to do it earlier. City have done nothing. They've got an Argentinian player in. They've sent back on loan. Arsenal have done nothing other than Aubameyang doing his best Peter Odemwingie impression yesterday. That tells you. Like, West Ham have done nothing. Wolves have done nothing. Leicester have done nothing. Most of the clubs at the top half of the league done nothing.
Yeah.
So, and that's often the case in January. But we'll have a little assessment of it. We might hold back your West Ham rant till Wednesday, I think.
I haven't got a rant. I'm not.
I feel like you're the only West Ham fan I see on my timeline who is not raging right now.
Agreed. But I just think there's no perspective for a lot of people. But that will be Tottenham tomorrow. Other than that, right now, me and James got to get a chicken wrap and chips. So stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. As always, remember, play it your way. Cue music, please, man child.